1-year history. En route to the finish in Milan, the races face 4 time trials and numerous backbreaking climbs, including ascents over the legendary Gavia Pass and the famed Mortarolo. And for the first time in 15 years, the final stage to decide the race is a 28.5-kilometre race of truth. It's certain to keep the suspense until the final pedal stroke. The Italians look to make it 12 wins in a row with defending champion Danilo De Luca, who now rides for Team LPR Brakes. Alongside him is teammate former winner Paolo Sabadelli. 2-time Giro champion Gilberto Simoni is also in the hunt for his new team Sedimenti. But Italy will have their hands full as Team Astana have 3 cards to play. Last year's Tour de France winner Alberto Contador and Tour de France podium finishers American Levi Leipheimer and Germany's Andreas Klöden. The trio will ride with a vengeance after not being invited to the Tour de France. American team Slipstream Chipotle, managed by Jonathan Waters, make their Giro debut and send a squad led by David Zabriskie, Christian van der Velde and David Miller. And Team Giro will also carry high hopes for the USA as recent Tour de Georgia winner Konstantin Zipsov looks to keep the momentum going. The world's best have assembled in Italy for the first Grand Tour of the year. Cyclism Sundays presents the 91st edition of the Giro d'Italia next on Versus. Welcome everybody. After a great classic season, we're now moving on to the first of the 3 Grand Tours with the 91st edition of the Giro d'Italia. Welcome to Cyclism Sundays, presented by Hampton Hotels. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. I'm Phil Liggett, alongside me, the redoubtable Bob Roll. Bob, no non-Italians ever won this race since 1996.
It's been a long time since we've seen a foreign winner in the Giro d'Italia, and the Giro this year in 2008 might be the very best Grand Tour of the whole season, the most dramatic because of the inclusion of the Astana team. Watch for Alberto Contador to do something very special in the last week.
Well, also in the field is the defending champion, Danilo De Luca, who look to try and repeat as the race gets started way south in Italy. There's some details for you. It's over 2,100 miles. There are 6 flat stages, 4 mountain stages, 3 they finish on top, 7 medium mountains, and amazingly, Bob, 80 kilometers of time trials.
Team time trial also to start off the Giro d'Italia this year. Also a mountain climbing, straight up time trial in the hills in the last week of the race.
Well, as you said, the one big news is we broke it last week in our coverage of the Tour of Romandie. Astana get a late invitation to the Giro d'Italia, and they are here, Bob, with their best team.
Astana brings a great team. Initially, they were not invited to the Giro d'Italia, left off the roster inexplicably, and also, even less explicably, they've been invited at the last moment, but let's see what they can do with that.
Well, that's true. In fact, the organisers' side of things is that they didn't invite Astana because Astana were not going to send their best team to the Giro d'Italia. Well, Johan Bonneel's always denied that, and he certainly proved that wrong because this is the lineup. It is without doubt their best team. Levi Leipheimer, 3rd in the Tour de France last year, Bob. The winner, Alberto Contador. Andreas Klöden, who's been on the podium a few times in the Tour. And they've got the backup team there, especially with riders like Maxim Iglinski, who's a sprinter, and Dmitry Moriev. Bob, this is a great team, but are they ready?
This is a fantastic team, and that's the question we'll have to see as the race plays out. They just got a last-minute invite, and it's very tough to get ready for a Grand Tour with only 4 or 5 days to do it.
And, of course, there are plenty of other contenders here who can really go out and win this race, not least, of course, Danilo De Luca, who said he wants to repeat the win. There's also Riccardo Rico, another rider who might do well. There are a lot of riders, Bob, who feel they have a chance here this year.
10 or 12 riders capable of winning the Giro d'Italia this year, including a couple of former champions, Gilberto Simoni, Danilo De Luca, Riccardo Rico, an up-and-coming star, Mauricio Soler won the King of the Mountains and a stage in the Tour de France last year. And let's not forget Konstantin Zipsov from Team Giro, just won the Tour of Georgia a couple of weeks ago. He should be on very good form also.
Yes, and Simoni, this could be his last race, you know, at 36 years of age. He's been on the podium 7 times, and the record, by the way, is 9. which is held by Felice Gimondi. Well, it all started yesterday, and what a great start it was for the Americans in this race. There are only 6 American riders in this race, 2 full-blooded American teams. It all began with the team time trial in Palermo, and by the end of the day, it was into the history books for the Americans. Let's have a look then. It was a ride of just 23.6 kilometers, a team time trial, but it means that the winning team, the first rider over the line of the winning team, would be in the pink, and Slipstream were in the groove.
Slipstream went out very quickly, and they got the fastest times out on the race course. Here's the start of the Astana squad being led out by Andreas Kloden. A last-minute invite to the Giro, and they want to do something special.
Well, the riders were really strutting their stuff here, and in fact David Miller, although he was dropped on the approach to the finish, had done some terrific turns at the front to ensure that the Slipstream Chipotle team came home with a time that would stand the passage of time throughout the day. But they had a nervous few moments. They bettered Tinkoff there by 33 seconds to go in the #1 slot. And then came Astana. They provided here all 9 men coming home, and when they came home, they were in the 2nd position.
Team CSC came onto the start line, one of the best teams at this discipline, the team time trial in all of cycling. And Slipstream still has some nervous moments waiting for this very fast squad to get to the finish line and see what they could do.
Another team who's now moved in among the top contenders in the Grand Tours, Team Bala World from South Africa, although there's no South African riders riding on the team over this 3 weeks. And Team High Road were there too to do their best, because they are now an all-American team, and they were looking for a big result as well in their first Grand Tour.
Here is the team from Italy, Liquigas. They've got some great Italians on the squad, including Pelizzotti there on the far right-hand side of your screen. Team CSC to the finish line. This is the intermediate check, 8 seconds faster, so Slipstream really sweating it out here at the finish line, watching the arrival there of the intermediate check of Team CSC.
And Bala World, a second better there than Slipstream at that checkpoint as well. So things were not going all Slipstream's way. It was a very nervous watching moment for them. But when Team CSC got to the line, they'd fallen away by 6 seconds. Slipstream Chipotle was still on top.
Here is Team High Road, and they are trying to get towards the finish line as well. And we see the arrival now of the Liquigas squad, 13 seconds slower than Slipstream. That is great news for the men in Argyle.
In the pink jersey, as the winner of last year's Giro d'Italia, Danilo De Luca leads away the LPR Brakes team. Now, it's important to do a good time in this team time trial, although it's short. Bala World, they also lost that seconds gain and fell 14 behind. Slipstream Chipotle were beginning to get a broad smile on their faces, especially when Team High Road came home, and they too had fallen out behind the pace. They were in 3rd.
Liquigas, this will tell the tale. This is one of the last teams that come across the line for the Slipstream squad. They'll be looking at this time 9 seconds slower.
And the big story of the day, apart from the winners, of course, was the falling away of the LPR Brakes team and last year's winner Danilo De Luca, losing 28 seconds. The story was all about the new American boy, Slipstream Chipotle, 26:32. The first man over the line was Christian van der Velde, and the team were delighted. Bob, they'd prepared for this by training together for 10 days. The result was pink for Christian.
This is a great result for the American Slipstream squad. Dave Zabriskie doing huge turns along with David Miller, Ryder Hagedal, and Christian van der Velde getting the pink jersey. What a result for Team Slipstream.
And Christian van der Velde, the first and only other American to wear pink, other than Andy Hampson back in 1988, when indeed Bob Roll was on the Giro d'Italia team at that time. So Christian van der Velde sits on top of the leaderboard. He's got 4 teammates directly behind him on the stage, which isn't really for the sprinters. But what a great moment this is for the United States and for the launch of Team Slipstream Chipotle into the Grand Tours. Then today we stay, Bob, on the island of Sicily, and anybody that knows Sicily knows it's not flat. Now, by tradition, we normally have a sprinter stage. I don't think that'll be the case today, will it?
You're right. Generally speaking, in the Grand Tours, there's a couple of opportunities for the sprinters after the first time trial. That's not the case in this year's Giro d'Italia. A very tough stage down here in Sicily. Cefalù is the starting town, the finishing town, Agrigento, 207 kilometers away, but a very tough hilly stage. Not in the high mountains, but there will be no rest for the wicked today. We have a lot of feed zones, a lot of King of the Mountain points, and an uphill finish into Agrigento after a quick little circuit. We had the Worlds down here years ago, and here is the profile, and you can see just how tough this stage is going to be for the riders and for Team Slipstream to defend that jersey of Christian van der Velde.
Well, in fact, there are only 2 named King of the Mountains points today, but as you can see, it is undulating all day. The riders don't get any rest, and that's why we think that the sprinters won't be able to control this race, and will indeed Slipstream Chipotle be able to control it in favour of Christian van der Velde. Now, he has won the Tour of Luxembourg. It's not a flat race, so perhaps there is a chance, Bob. But if it doesn't favour Slipstream Chipotle and the sprinters, then who does it favour? And I feel that one man we must never overlook, especially as he said he wants to do well this year. That's the world champion, Paolo Bettini.
You can never discount Paolo Bettini on any type of stage in the Giro, especially one like this that favors his talent. Very hilly, heavy-duty, pesante, as they say, a heavy stage. Watch for the cricket, Il Grillo. Paolo Bettini to defend that world champion's jersey in today's stage.
And another man is David Rebellin, the ever-consistent Rebellin. He's nearly 37 years of age now, but he finished 4th Milan-San Remo, 4th in the Amstel Gold, 6th in Flèche-Wallonne, 2nd Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and 2nd in Hennigan. He's a great rider. What about the Cobra?
Riccardo Rico, a new star of Italian cycling. He announced himself last year with the stage win on stage number 15 of the Giro when he was doing the teamwork for Simoni. Simoni's on a different team. That should give Rico the chance to go for his own results. Today might be his day.
Well, Rico's still very much in the peloton right now, as most people are. This has just happened moments ago. Until now, Bob, we've seen nothing but Slipstream Chipotle on the front of the bunch. But at around about 150 kilometres done of the 207, at last there's a reaction now.
The Traguardo Volante is in this next little village of Serra di Falco, and a big lead out being done by the Liquigas team. There's a lot of points up for grabs for the Ciclamino jersey here, and we see a big lead out now at the very front of the peloton. Slipstream's been leading all day in the chase, 2 men up in the front, and Slipstream is chasing for Christian van der Velde. Barlow World's coming to the fore. That looks like Daniele Benatti trying to go for that little sprint there here in the sound of Serra di Falco. And 2 riders up in the front, so he'll go through the Traguardo Volante. That's the inner Giro, and we're still trying to figure out what that competition means. They've had it for the last 20 years, but we still can't figure it out.
Well, there's one sprint point every day. There's the gap, 6 minutes and 49 seconds. The 2 riders who've been away, Jeremy Roy of Française des Jeux and David Loosely of the Lampre team. Loosely won the sprint here, but they seem to be sitting up now. We're going up to the leaders here now, and it looks as though they decided to call it quits, Bob, because they've slowed right down.
Giuseppe Saroni there telling David Loosely what to do exactly. Saroni, one of the most popular Italian cyclists of all time, so part of the team management for Lampre, and he was very popular here in Sicily. The Sicilians love Giuseppe Saroni, a real man of the people.
And we can tell you also that Igor Astaloa didn't start the stage this morning, so 196 riders are riding the race right now, and Astaloa sick overnight. Huge peloton, and so far it's been a good day for Christian van der Velde. He's looked confident. He's enjoyed his day in the pink jersey. He's been riding near the front with a massive amount of pacemaking being done by Magnus Backstedt.
Backstedt on the front for most of the stage today, and Jeremy Waugh deciding he wasn't going to contribute to the chase with David Loosely, so the gap is now plummeting precipitously for the breakaway.
Well, the people of Sicily enjoying the Tour of Italy here at the moment. And it's been some spectacular scenery, Bob. The islanders look beautiful. Even though it's only May, it looks already parched by the hot sun, although it's not quite as hot as it has been here today.
There's Magnus Backstedt
back on front.
Still on the front there, hammering away. Great effort by Team Slipstream to defend that jersey of Christian van der Velde. And what a beautiful moment. 20 years after Andy Hamstein had the jersey in the Giro d'Italia, the pink jersey as leader, Christian van der Velde, the next American to get that pink jersey.
Well, they were out to over 10 minutes. The gap is down to 7, and it's all Slipstream at the moment on the 2nd day of the Giro d'Italia. Christian van der Velde could well be in pink by the end of this day, and I'm sure that's at the front of his mind. We'll continue with the action.
Cyclism Sunday's coverage of Giro d'Italia on Versus is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And by Hankook Tires. Tame the road.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
Going somewhere?
What are you in for? Wi-Fi?
Break free from Wi-Fi with broadband access from Verizon Wireless. Click to connect and work in more spots than just hotspots on America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Now get a free broadband access modem. Monthly plan starting at $39.99. It's reliability to go. Verizon Wireless.
Tame the road. Hand-cooked tires.
It's the 5-minute challenge. Trigger spray versus new Roundup Pump and Go sprayer. With up to 5 minutes of continuous spray, Pump and Go kills weeds, not your hands. New Roundup Pump and Go. Hard on weeds, easy on you.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, have you disinfected the area? Good. Now make a 3-inch incision between the 4th and 5th abdominal muscles.
Shouldn't you be doing this?
It's really straightforward. Listen, I gotta go, Bob. I'll talk to you later.
Making important financial decisions on your own doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones prefers meeting clients face-to-face. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Ranked highest in investor satisfaction with full-service brokerage firms by J.D. Power and Associates.
I have the greatest job in the world. I've rounded up cattle, sheep, and grandchildren. I've shown again and again why I'm a best friend and a respected colleague. I'm not a pet. I'm a member of the family. I have not, nor will I ever be, in a dog show. I've never worn a leash, just like my master.
You're out here for a reason. So are we. Tractor Supply Company. The stuff you need out here.
The 2008 Giro d'Italia, Italy's toughest race. You can ride along all month long. Sign up for the Giro webcast package at versus.com/Giro and watch live every day for $29.99. The Giro d'Italia, online all month and on air every Sunday on Versus.
You got man versus animal. I mean, it don't get no realer than that.
From the island of Sicily to the streets of Milan, the race to wear the Maglia Rosa is on. All month long, the eyes of the cycling world turn to Italy for the first leg of cycling's Triple Crown, the Giro d'Italia. The Giro continues next Sunday at 4 Eastern. Cyclism Sundays brought to you by Hampton Hotels, only on Versus, the home of the Tour de France. Welcome back to the Giro d'Italia, and still all together in the main field. Just under 7 minutes is the lead now for David Loosely and Jeremy Roy, but it's going to tumble down now because both riders have decided to sit up. I think it's due to the in-battle we've seen there with the French rider and the Italian, Bob.
Well, Jeremy Roy refusing to work, maybe a little bit tired, and maybe just thinking that the peloton's going to chase anyways. Why expend any energy that won't be useful at the end of the day? A little bit of consternation on the part of David Loosely, who was hoping to cooperate in the breakaway all the way to the finish, but that's not the case. So they've sat up, and I think that gap is going to come down rather quickly now.
Big pressure on the Slipstream Chipotle at the moment, though, and Magnus Baxter up for it. A lot been seen at the front too of Danny Pate and Pat McCartney, all setting the pace. It's amazing to think there are 4 current national champions on the Slipstream team, which is a lot for any one team. Julian Dean is in his country's colours as road race champion of New Zealand. There he is, the black jersey, about riding on the wheel of David Miller at the moment.
That is Claudio Chiappucci, one of the big stars of Italian cycling, and he is down in Sicily. They loved him down here, a man from the north, but his family emigrated to the north of Italy from Sicily, so he is a big hero down here in the island, almost a separate part of the foot, as it were, the boot of the Italian peninsula. And a lot of Italians in the north come from Sicily, and they move to the north for the economic opportunity there.
Well, there's clearly no barber shops down in Sicily, because I would never recognize him there, Bob. He did well. His golden locks, or his black locks there, a lot longer than when he was a star of the Tour de France. Remember his big mountain win there when he raced over the Alps to win in Italy, in Sestria. It was in the feet of the days of Fausto Coppi, that occasion. Some years ago now. We used to always refer to him as the gadfly. He annoyed everybody by never have any common sense when he attacks. He just liked to see people chase him, I think.
That was a long breakaway to Sicily, I think,
It
close
was.
to 200 kilometers at the end of the day, and also in a big breakaway here in Sicily in the World Championships that were in Agrigento. And a teammate of him, Giro, was in the break, along with Luc Leblanc, who ended up winning that. So Chiappucci, a huge star of Italian cycling. It's great to see the old champions come back and revisit the race.
That was back in 1994. Paolo Bettini rode in those World Championships and says he knows the finish today and it suits him. And so we might see him strike in quite early on. We're heading through the Valley of the Temples today as we go to Agrigento, and plenty of them lying around here. I can tell you also that Emanuel Sella has opened up. He'll be the wearer tomorrow of the green jersey as King of the Mountains leader, because he won on the first climb today, which was right out after 20 kilometers. A very slow ride today by everybody, by the way. We've averaged only 21.5 miles an hour. We're running below the slowest time. And so Slipstream Chipotle won't be complaining about that, because they're doing all of the pacemaking right now. Sella, by the way, in his last 3 Giris, has finished 10th, 11th and 12th. So he could do with a little bit higher than that.
Sicily, thick with Greek ruins and Roman ruins, so a lot of the scenics from today's stage will include shots of the old Greek temples that litter the island of Sicily, now a part of Italy. And also, what might be littering the streets is a bit of rain coming at the finish line. So a little bit of rain forecast. That will make some very slippery and dangerous conditions. Daniele Nardello there, great champion of Italy from years past, still in the bike race, Gabriele Misaglia. And there is Gilberto Simoni on that Sedimenti squad, twice winner of the Giro, and hoping to make it 3 in this year, maybe his last.
Yes, twice winner, 1 second and 4 times third, which ranks him second in the all-time podium list. Well, time to strip off as the pace continues. Time for a stop and a natural break. That's a good clue for us, really. We'll take a break as well. Rejoin us here in Sicily.
Going over and over? It's not just you. Stopping and starting? Going urgently? You're not alone. Lots of guys experience male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also known as an enlarged prostate. But for many guys, prescription Flomax reduces their urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. Avoid driving or hazardous tasks for 12 hours after your first dose or increase in dose, as a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Common side effects are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Millions of guys have been prescribed Flomax. Talk to your doctor to see if Flomax is right for you. And call 877-4FLOMAX for a free 1-week trial. Why wait? For many men, Flomax can make a difference in 1 week.
We got just what you need to keep your yard beautiful and weed-free. Let's start with fertilizer.
We're here because we've been there with the tools, products, and advice to get it done right. True Value. Start right. Start here. Visit TrueValue.com/TV for a free $5 coupon. Print your $5 coupon at TrueValue.com/TV.
It's life or death to me. I'm better, stronger, faster.
I've been there, done that, and I'm on my way back to win a belt.
Don't blink.
In the time it takes you to watch this commercial, you could be searching for a new career right from your living room sofa with Searchlight 888. Just press 888 on your Comcast digital remote and go to Careers and Education. There you'll find lists of employment opportunities.
Swedish Medical Center's dedication to employee and patient satisfaction creates a professional, respectful, family-oriented environment. Take your career to Swedish.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Searchlight 888. See what's waiting for you right now.
It's time to get ready for the final days of Denver Mattress's Supplier Overstock Special.
Hurry in. These supplier overstock special mattresses have been made in limited quantities. Rush on over. Clearance sale with no payments and no interest for 1-year offer ends Tuesday, May 13th.
You okay? Yeah. Just one more weekend. Just one more weekend.
We are, as you rejoin us, the peloton has slowed right down and somebody has gone down on the right here, and it's a slipstream rider who's fallen. And it looks like Zabriskie who's gone down. And what on earth has happened? We're only seeing what you're seeing at the moment. The camera's cut straight to the chase here.
Disaster for slipstream. There's Zabriskie. He's on the deck. Christian Vandevelde was also waiting. You can see the bicycle and Zabriskie very slow to get up and a lot of pain there. Probably landed right on his backside and very, very slow to get up. That's tough in any circumstance, but when you have the leader's jersey of the race, it makes it even more difficult.
Wow, this is a painful one. This is not looking good. Bob, this is the two faces of world-class cycling. Here's another look at it. You can't really see it. It's over to the right there. Now, the riders were beginning to slow and take natural breaks, and the two leaders have slowed as well. Fanberger is off his bike, also adjusting there in the middle of the picture, the champion of Austria. But the trouble is right over to the right there. 1 minute they're in complete control, and now we've got David Zabriskie, one of the strong men yesterday, who doesn't look at this moment as though he's going to continue.
Well, that is a disaster for slipstream, and Christian Vandevelde didn't seem to have fallen down, but maybe tangled up in that crash a little bit also. And this is really bad news for slipstream. One moment you're on the top of the world, and the next moment you're in the ditch. So Zabriskie in a lot of pain and very slow to get going. The tempo not very quick right now. The breakaway's given up, so there's still a chance that he could finish the stage within the time limit, but a very tough circumstance for Zabriskie and Team Slipstream.
Well, Zabriskie, of course, as we've just seen there, a former stage winner of both the Tour de France and a yellow jersey there, and here in the Giro d'Italia, he's won the stage as well. And he's obviously struck his chest here, and a few deep, he really is stunned. And this is a huge blow to Slipstream Chipotle, because don't forget, this is their man also for the Tour de France, which is not that far away. He's taken a blow, and I'm wondering if he's fallen on something there that we can't see that's really stunned him.
I think maybe on the side of the road. There was a little gate there for a railroad crossing, it looked like. He might have collided with that. Generally, when you're in the front, making the tempo, it's the safest place to be in the bike race, but that does not mean that you won't necessarily fall if you have even a moment's inattention. And Zabriskie down on the deck and not getting back up now. This is a very tough situation. This is an absolute disaster for Slipstream.
Well, his bike's ready, and it's only up to David now as if he can get back on it and ride to the finish. He's only got about 50 kilometers to ride today to the finish, maybe slightly less than that, and get through the day. And that's what he'll want to do, of course, is finish to live to fight another day. But he really is looking very pasty indeed. He's taken a nasty blow here, and he's been down for a couple of minutes now, so he's not going to rejoin the peloton whatever happens. So Dave Zabriskie, 1 minute at the front, setting the gentle pace, and it was only a gentle pace with the rest of his Chipotle boys. And now, whatever happened, a touch of wheels probably. And Bob, it often happens that the slow motion crashes result in the worst injuries.
You're right about that. Sometimes when you're racing flat out, the adrenaline's going. They got the stretcher now.
That's not good.
And that is not good at all.
Zabriskie is out. Well, that's a real tragedy for the team after the wonderful happiness of yesterday's win in the team time trial. Everything going according to plan so far today. Even the two leaders have stopped racing. It's only a matter of time before the peloton pedal up to the two leaders. And now there's the scene at the finishing line as the caravan arrives. Now it looks as though David Zabriskie is out.
It looks most definitely like Zabriskie will have to drop out of the Giro, and that's a real shame. Coming into the race with great form, obviously. They won the team time trial just yesterday, and to be out while defending the pink jersey as race leader, that is a disaster for Team Slipstream.
Yeah, absolutely right. You saw the one up there because the riders go through the finishing line before they go out on a small circuit, before they actually reach the finish for good today. But it looks as though Dave Zabriskie will have to get over whatever this injury is, but it's enough to take him straight out. He might well have broken ribs here. Very, very painful indeed. A real shame. Zabriskie, who could have so easily have been in the pink jersey himself today, but he said he didn't want to. He joked, he said, if I would have worn the pink jersey, I would have to talk to all the press. And he was very, very happy when his teammate and friend Van der Velde pulled on the pink last night. But we could have been seeing the pink jersey going out of the Tour today.
Oh, absolutely. Van de Velde was right there, and I think he probably stopped to see the progress or to see what exactly happened to Dave Zabriskie, and that's very disappointing for Christian to see his teammate and good friend go down and out of the Giro right there in the front of the peloton.
Well, 2:16 is the gap. These two boys have completely fallen out with one another because Ra refused to work, so loosely says, all right, we'll go back to the peloton. It's only a matter of time. But the big news already in today's stage, David Zabriskie of Team Slipstream Chipotle is out of the Giro d'Italia. But the race goes on. We'll take a short break.
Days Inn has a sunny new look outside. It's the sign of more value inside.
It was great for business. They had everything I needed.
The best part about Days Inn to me is the free internet.
2 days of driving. Larry following me all the way in the new one. We round a corner and there it is. Subaru heaven. You don't just let some wrecker haul your 300,000-mile Forester off to who knows where. You give that car a chance to live on. One part at a time. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
At Stouffer's, the way we see it, dinner should be what you love, not just what you can find. That's why there's new Corner Bistro flatbreads, like steak fajita on a Chipotle seasoned crust. Stouffer's, every dinner should feel this good.
Nothing brings people together like boating. Get started with your free DVD at discoverboating.com or 1-800-808-BOAT.
Switch to Valvoline's Max Life, and there's no telling how long your car will keep going. Max Life not only protects against friction, but also leaks, deposits, and sludge, the 4 major causes of high-mileage engine breakdown. Drive it forever.
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby.
Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
Mayflower movers are easy to spot. They're the ones that always go the extra mile to protect what's precious, even on their days off. Mayflower, we were made to move.
Well, welcome back to the Giro d'Italia. They're still sweeping up after that crash here because this is Christian Fanberger back with his team car. We're also hearing Alberto Contador went down, but he got back up pretty quickly. And we think the accident was caused by a small railroad crossing.
Railroad crossing, a slip there. There's a little bit of moisture in the air, so maybe the road's getting slippery as the riders get closer to the finish line. This is the doctor's car. Fanberger getting a little bit of attention there. He's got some scrapes to his elbow, but Dave Zabriskie, because of that, is out of the Giro d'Italia on day number 2 after winning the team time trial with Slipstream yesterday. And that is the nature of bike racing. One moment you're on top of the world, the next moment you're in the ditch and out of the race.
Well, Fanberger on the edge of his best ever season, I think, this year. He started off with an overall win and a stage win in the Tour of the Cape in South Africa, which was very important, of course. Oh, it's a nasty mark on his elbow there, Bob. Very important here for the Barlow World Rider. And he's been knocked around a bit on that crash. It was rather a heavy fall, wasn't it? Because the bunch were not doing 15 miles an hour, I don't think.
That bunch was luckily, perhaps for Fanberger, going at a reasonable tempo, but not so lucky for Dave Zabriskie.
No.
And I think he might have hit the gate there for the railroad crossing. That was up at the moment, and he slammed into that. And it looked like his ribs might have been damaged, having a tough time getting in the deep breaths. And it didn't seem like his collarbone or his limbs were injured, but definitely having a hard time breathing, and getting back into the race was impossible. So he went out on a stretcher into the ambulance.
No, that's really, really sad. Future Giro winner there, perhaps, watching here in Sicily, and the crowd of watching a race which is coming through quite a long way behind schedule today, but it's been a pretty tough course, plenty of undulations. Vanberg, as I said, winner of the overall of the Giro del Capo, but I'm sure he'd count his 5th place in Liège-Bastogne-Liège or his 6th in the Amstel Gold Race as better trophies this year. These two riders suddenly fell out at the Intergiro sprint. Ra refused to come to the front, and they just let the 7-minute lead disappear as we are now all together here. And Magnus Backstedt of Slipstream Chipotle, without the champion of the US at the time trial now, Zabriskie, on the squad. They're all together.
Slipstream still on the front and not needing to do a lot of tempo because the two riders in the front refusing to cooperate. Jeremy Waugh was sitting on the wheel of David Loosely. His team car came up and said, we can't win in this situation. The peloton has started their acceleration for the finish line. Why don't we just shut it off right now? And they've been caught in a matter of a few moments. They've been caught and absorbed by the peloton, being led by the Slipstream squad. And here comes some raindrops on the camera. This is going to be an incredibly slippery finale of the bike race. This is not over yet for the danger of the riders, and I think the danger has just begun for most of the men in the peloton.
Well, we've got about 40 kilometers now, Bob, of gentle undulations and then slightly downhill to 40 meters above sea level, and then we have a couple of ripples which lead us to the finishing line last time. We'll see the finishing line first time through, then the riders go on a circuit of about 14 kilometers to come back to the same line.
I'll tell you, that's a really tough blow to the morale when one of your teammates go down and you're trying to defend the race lead. That means that one less man to do the tempo on the front if it becomes necessary. So you saw the concern, Christian Vande Velde waiting there to see what kind of shape Dave Zabriskie was in. Getting back into the race, obviously. The rider's slowing down. And Canicanti is the village they're going through right now, as Magnus Backstedt leads them out. But that's a very tough on the morale. And you just know that you're going to have that much more work as long as you have the jersey and throughout the whole Giro. So that's going to be tough to recover from Team Slipstream. And it'll be a real test to see what they can get through today and try to defend the jersey of Christian Vande Velde. And you never know, some riders might rise up to the occasion and make that little bit extra effort required. Watch for Christian to try to stay near the front and keep the pink jersey at the end of the day.
Well, there we are, inside 50 kilometers to go. Christian Vande Velde still happily in the pink, but we'll be thinking about the loss of teammate Dave Zabriskie right now. But the field have got to do something about Christian, and that might be harder. We'll take a break.
We have recycling plans that fit the biggest companies and programs that help others get started. We're there for you every night and on the job with you every day. When you put waste management to work, you get an environmental partner. And big ideas for every size business. From everyday collection to environmental protection. Think green. Think waste management.
Memories as big as a Texas sky. Like blowing leaves of childhood dreams float by. And so it seems that we've always been here in our thoughts and our dreams.
For your free Texas travel information, go to traveltex.com or call 1-800-8888-TEX.
How much do you pay when you buy a stock? Does the rate change depending on how often you trade or how much you have in your account? At TD Ameritrade, there's only one price for online stock trades, $9.99. No matter how often you trade, no matter how much money you have in your account. Straightforward pricing from TD Ameritrade. Independence is the spirit that drives America's most successful investors.
Can I help you, sir?
Found these over by the stairs.
Okay, thank you.
What are they?
Love handles. Lots of people lose them taking the stairs instead of the escalator.
Come on, ladies, 3 a.m. feeding. A hungry baby waits for no one. Spoon and feed. Spoon and feed. Spoon and feed. Move it, move it, move it.
There's
There's no formal training to be a mother or how to eat when you're pregnant. That's why there's WIC. WIC provides nutrition information, healthcare referrals, even food. Your child has you, and you have WIC.
Coverage of the Giro d'Italia. Before we get back to the action though, let's remind ourselves it's Olympic year and there's a lot of American cyclists vying for a chance to ride in the Olympics. One man who has been there before is Jason McCartney, who rides for Team CSC. Here now on our feature profile is Jason on the road to Beijing, brought to you by Hampton Hotels.
Definitely would like to make the team and go to Beijing. That's a dream for everyone. I think the course really suits Levi, and I enjoy being his teammate, and I'd love to help him there. But I'm not a pure climber, and I'm not a sprinter. I can just do a little bit of everything. If I get picked, it's going to be really an honor.
It's always a big highlight, Bob, if you make it once, but he's already been at the Olympic Games. Do you think he's got a chance this year?
Oh, most definitely. He's a very consistent rider. The course favors his talents. It's a very hilly course. Also a pretty solid time trialist. So taking a guy like J. Mack for the Olympic Games is a very good idea.
Yes, well, we're still looking at pictures here, and I would think that Julian Dean's also dreaming of a place in the Olympic team, but just look at the colour of his jersey now. He clearly also went down in that crash.
Lucky enough not to get hurt in that like Zabriskie did, but a couple of guys at least from Slipstream going down, and we're still getting news. A little bit of picture breakout on the race course. Here is the publicity caravan coming through the finish line, and there's some Milram riders, and that's a bit of a shock to the whole field to see the leading team get to a section of the course, obviously a lot slippier than the rest of it, perhaps the railroad tracks, not at a 90-degree angle from the road, maybe around 45 degrees, and you can hit the deck so quickly in these conditions when that happens.
Well, I have to say, I'm amazed at just how heavy that fall was amongst all the riders the cameras have picked out. They really have gone down with quite a bang. This is Ongarato here, usually a lead-out man for Alessandro Patacchi, who's not riding here, of course, about to serve out what is left of a one-year suspension for taking a little bit too much of his nasal asthma spray. Seems a very strange decision, that one, but at the moment he won 5 stages of this Giro last year, Alessandro Patacchi, and he's been disqualified from them all, which I can't really understand, Bob, because he wasn't found positive until 3rd stage win in. So why lose the other 2? I don't really understand that.
The Dicronian measures being applied to some racers and not to others. It gives the fans so much confusion, and it's very tough to commentate on whose situation is just and who's not. Leonardo Piepoli, same situation as Patacchi. He won a stage. He had a little bit too much extra asthma medicine that he has a medical excuse for. He is allowed to race, and he keeps his stage win, and Patacchi, on the other hand, is disqualified. So it's very tough to understand all the rules and regulations when they are applied so inconsistently.
Well, Graham Brown there, will he be in at the sprint today? We didn't think it was going to be a stage for the sprinters, but they've ridden very, very slowly today. We'll see how they tackle the finishing climb, though. There is Christian van der Velde. He must shut out of his mind the loss of his friend Dave Zabriskie now and get on with the job in hand. There's David Miller in front of him. A rather battered and bruised Julian Dean, the champion of New Zealand. All of these riders now, as we work through the peloton, are just trying to keep this together. Danny Pate, McCarthy, all there at the front.
There's your defending Giro champion from last year, Danilo Di Luca, on the LPR squad. Last year, racing for the green team, the green machine of Liquigas. He's changed teams in the off-season. Christian van der Velde on the wheel of David Miller there. Julian Dean absolutely torn to shreds, but no loss of fight in the man, right there in formation, and he'll make the tempo when it's required. Hopefully he won't have to do too much today, and he can recover from that crash and those cuts and bruises that he will most certainly carry for the first few days of the Giro d'Italia.
So we're looking at the peloton all together now. 1 or 2 riders down amongst the team cars, but basically they're bound for the first passage through the finishing line as one big group. Nobody turning wheels in anger, but there's certainly 1 or 2 riders down there who are now feeling the pain of the Giro d'Italia. We'll see in a moment.
Going somewhere?
What are you in for? Wi-Fi?
Break free from Wi-Fi with broadband access from Verizon Wireless. Click to connect and work in more spots than just hotspots on America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Now get a free broadband access modem. Monthly plan starting at $39.99. It's reliability to go. Verizon Wireless.
What would you do sang out of tune, would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
I inhabit the nightmares of Italian loafers. I've trodden my own path. I have stepped in bull, but never talked it. I have been rehealed, resold, but never replaced. I am a stranger to polish. I have spent more time on dirt than cement.
You're out here for a reason. So are we. Tractor Supply Company. The stuff you need out here.
These bulls are some of the greatest athletes in the world.
I've never seen a 2,000-pound animal jump 6 foot in the air and be spinning 100 miles an hour.
They're not just big, dumb animals.
Welcome back to the Giro d'Italia. We're on Sicily, remember, and we're just on 40 kilometres to go, and the riders are swapping turns at the front at the moment. But we get the odd shot, Bob, of riders who've got ambition today, men like Paolo Bettini, perhaps, as they start to make sure they're in the right position in the peloton.
Absolutely. Bettini starting to move forward and pay more attention to the crashes and whatnot. And when there is a big crash like that we've just had to Dave Zabriskie, it makes the whole peloton a little bit more nervous. It's a long drag up to the finish line, and it might be a rider, just like you said, like Paolo Bettini, who is a very fast finisher on a flat stage, but on a stage like this with a lot of hills and an uphill kick to the line, he might be unstoppable today.
Come the police to look after everybody. They're going to accompany the race right around the 3 weeks here in Italy. They're at the finishing line. That line, Bob, is around about 640 meters above sea level, and it's only 4 kilometers to climb, but it climbs in those 4 kilometers about 700 feet, so it's a pretty tough climb.
Pretty tough to the finish line, and so the pure sprinters, guys like Benatti and Robbie McEwen, of course, might not have the greatest of chances. All of those guys, though, have been a little bit different than a rider like Mario Cipollini, who is pure speed. Mark Cavendish has a lot of resistance, can go up a hill pretty fast. McEwen as well is like that. So it's going to be a real Donnybrook to the finish line today.
Well, the riders giving themselves plenty of room here after that crash that happened about 10-15 kilometers to go now. If you're just joining us, I have to tell you that David Zabriskie was the worst off in the fall. He's gone to hospital on a stretcher. We hope he will recover quickly, because the Tour de France will be on him before he knows it. And of course you can watch every day live here. Versus, and while we're talking about live coverage, we cover the Tour of Italy every Sunday on Cyclism Sundays, but during the week and on the Saturdays, just go to our website at versus.com and follow the links and the instructions, and you can watch live streaming audio with commentary of the Giro every day. Looking down on the man we've just been talking about, Paolo Bettini, looking resplendent for, remember, it's his second full season in the rainbow jersey. He went back-to-back at the World Championships, and it's a jersey he's very proud of wearing.
Paolo Bettini, a long-time professional, one of the best in the business on the Quick Step squad. Teammates with Tom Bonin, who's been so successful so far this year. Quick Step, one of the top teams in the world. There's Julian Dean coming back from some water bottles. That's the side of his jersey that he didn't crash on. The other side, quite a bit of damage from the road and some cuts and bruises to Julian Dean. But he's still going back to the team car to do the teamwork and get the water bottles for his teammates. The Argyle Armada at the front of the race, defending the lead of Christian Vandevelde. A lot of different jerseys on that team because those riders are national champions, Magnus Backstedt and Julian Dean.
That's right, and David Miller. They're the road champions of the country, so they wear the national colours of their country rather than the team strip. And Julian there, despite all of his rather blackened national jersey, there's DeLuca, last year's overall winner. Julian packing those bottles in, then his job is to get back up to the front, unfortunately for him, and start distributing the bottles to the riders. And the clouds are getting darker here, as you can see. Rain is forecast, due just towards the finish of the race, and because they're running a little bit behind schedule, it's quite likely the rain will be here before the race is over today, and that will make a very different finish, I think. Julio Perez, a former man who's done very well in this race, in the King of the Mountains particularly, who's also has a new set of front teeth because he crashed in this race when he hit a crash barrier once and lost his main teeth in the front.
The great Mexican rider, Julio Perez here, King of the Mountain, stage winner in the Giro d'Italia. He's on a small Italian team, so he doesn't get a chance to do the races outside of Italy very often, but he has been absolutely spectacular in the Giro d'Italia the last 4 or 5 years, and it's great to follow him. A very attacking rider in the mountains, but he's going to have to wait a few days for a course that favors his talents.
These are the new colours, the former Panaria team now, which he was on, no longer sponsoring as such. It's now the CSF Group Navigare, those new colours, and all the Panaria riders in those new jerseys. Well, there on the far right are the thunderclouds moving in over the peloton as their game being controlled by Slipstream Chipotle, who have turned out to be very strong today in defence of Christian van der Velde's pink jersey. And at the moment it's Magnus Bagstedt here who's leading them through. Well, this is a very proud day as the race snakes through for the American cyclist here, Christian van der Velde. Remember, he is only the second American ever to pull on the pink jersey. We'll take a break now, but when we come back, we will tell you a lot more about Christian van der Velde. Rejoin us in a moment.
I've always been a good rider, but I haven't been a great rider, and I think I have the ability to be a great rider.
The hotter the hot, the colder the cold, the greater the demand, the more you need Duralast. Batteries built to exceed the need. Batteries built to meet or exceed original equipment standards for cold cranking amps. Batteries built with the power to heavy electrical demands. Batteries so good they come with a coast-to-coast warranty. Built to last. Only at AutoZone.
Going over and over? It's not just you. Stopping and starting? Going urgently? You're not alone. Lots of guys experience male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also known as an enlarged prostate. But for many guys, prescription Flomax reduces their urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week. Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not a more serious condition like prostate cancer. Avoid driving or hazardous tasks for 12 hours after your first dose or increase in dose, as a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Common side effects are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Millions of guys have been prescribed Flomax. Talk to your doctor to see if Flomax is right for you. And call 877-4FLOMAX for a free 1-week trial. Why wait? For many men, Flomax can make a difference in 1 week.
Cyclism Sundays, it's on. From the island of Sicily to the streets of Milan, the race to where the Maglia Rosa is on. All month, the eyes of the cycling world turn to Italy for the first leg of cycling's Triple Crown. The Giro d'Italia continues next Sunday 4 Eastern. Cyclism Sundays presented by Hampton Hotels, only on Versus, the home of the Tour de France.
Every year, Bike MS goes farther and pushes harder to raise money that will move us closer to a cure for multiple sclerosis. And that's where you come in. An unforgettable ride, an unbeatable destination. Bike to create a world free of MS. Join the movement.
Bike to create a world free of MS. Join the movement June 28th and 29th when we ride from Westminster to Fort Collins and back. An unforgettable ride, an unbeatable destination. Visit bikemscolorado.org to register to volunteer today.
Don't walk. Don't walk. Walk. Do not enter. Hot dogs. Definitely like hot dogs. Motorcycle club. Everything must go. Ghostly ghouls. Don't look at that, Teddy. Body piercing. Ouch.
Everyday moments can become teaching moments because learning starts long before school does. Give your child the start they need at bornlearning.org.
Welcome back to Sicily and the second day of the Giro d'Italia. Well, yesterday it was all about an American team riding in its first Grand Tour and winning the opening stage, the team time trial. I'm talking, of course, about Slipstream Chipotle. They brought a fully international lineup here. Here's their 9-man squad. Magnus Backstedt of Sweden, Julian Dean and Ryder Hijadal coming in from Canada. Then in the second ranking there, you've got David Miller, the British champion, Pat McCarthy of USA and Danny Pate of the Americans. And then below, Chris Sutton, the young Australian, Christian van der Velde, and Dave Zabriskie, who was great in the time trial yesterday, but now, sadly, as we know, out of the race. Well, they really strutted their stuff yesterday and showed what they could do. And the man who was first over the line took on the leader's pink jersey. I'm talking, of course, about Christian van der Velde, and he's the subject now of our Hampton Hotels athlete profile.
I've always had the talent. I've always had the know-how, but it's like I always really doubted myself.
Christian van der Velde is a very underappreciated cyclist. I mean, I think if you look back at what he's actually done, he's done some amazing rides in his life.
He's done everything from the Tour de France team time trial with Lance Armstrong to pulling for Ivan Basso in the mountains to now being a leader on Slipstream. So I think that his knowledge is incredible.
As Christian and I went through the years at CSC, he changed there also. He became kind of a captain on the road with CSC and just really learned how to read the race and communicate well with everybody and bring everyone together, and that's obviously going to be a huge help here.
I just wanted another challenge, and being with a younger team, a more inexperienced team, it's going to be a big challenge for me, and it's going to put me out of my element, and I really thrive on that, and it's going to push me to really achieve more goals in myself. And I've always been a good rider, but I haven't been a great rider, and I think I have the ability to be a great rider.
Christian is the sergeant. He's the big brother. He's the guy that barks at the guys, gets them to do what they need to do.
It'll be a great asset for this team with a lot of younger and experienced riders to have guys like he and Miller help push everybody in the right direction.
His confidence is up there, and he's really just showing himself in ways that he's never showed himself before.
The biggest change with Christian is just staying healthy. He wanted to retire before I retired. He couldn't put power into the pedals. His muscles weren't firing correctly because he was having, pinched nerves in his back, and, he was functioning on one leg essentially. So, he's finally got that under control. That's the difference. He's riding with 2 legs instead of 1.
He's such an amazing cyclist, and he's been through huge ups and downs. To go through all the struggles that he went through and be here in the position with our team, being a mentor, it is unbelievable because he very well could have just walked away.
I want to still kick ass, and I want to do really well.
Well, Christian van der Velde will be 32 years of age during the Giro d'Italia. Let's hope he enjoys it in the leader's pink jersey. He's had 1 win only this year. He was winner of the time trial stage at the Circuit de la Sarthe in France, where he finished second. He also finished third in the Tour of California. He's obviously on form, Bob. But although he hasn't won a lot of bike races, he's always been on the top teams because he's a very necessary element of a real team.
Well, Christian van der Velde has been a pro for 10 years now, and it couldn't happen to a better guy that the first pink jersey in 20 years for an American goes to Christian van der Velde. Like you said, he's a solid teammate. He always does a lot of work for every team that he's been on, including U.S. Postal with Lance Armstrong during a couple of his tour wins. So Christian van der Velde enjoying some of the fruits of his labor over the year, the first pink jersey of this year's Giro.
And there he is as we speak now, just peeping into the picture in pink on the wheel of David Miller. They still all the team now at the head of the race, and the giant of the work being done by the Swede, Magnus Backstedt, with a little bit of help from Chris Sutton now, the young man in his first Giro d'Italia and his first ride this year on the team Slipstream too.
Yes, absolutely. He's on the front, Chris Sutton there. Magnus Backstedt's taking over the pacemaking, and this has got to be a great day for American cycling right here. Team Slipstream, they had a dream to come and do the Grand Tours in Europe, and they are really doing something special so far in the Giro d'Italia. After winning the team time trial, it was Christian van der Velde who was first over the line for the team. Because of that, he inherits the first pink jersey of the Giro d'Italia exactly 20 years after the last American, Andy Hampson, wore that. beautiful tunic.
Well, you know, Bob, exactly what work is now cut out for the team riders on Team Slipstream Trotty now, because you were on the team with Andy, and it certainly makes a very hard day, doesn't it?
Well, we did about 8 or 9 days of tempo on the front of the Giro, and I've never been so exhausted in my whole life at the end of that week. There's Danny Pate. He might feel some of that pain in the days to come if they keep the jersey for a while.
If not already. Well, we're running down 30 kilometers to go to the finish here now. This is a rider who crashed, not in the crash that we saw earlier on, but he crashed right out at the start of the day with Mauricio Sola, the Colombian climber, and that is Morabito, one of the last riders called into the Astana team, and the first rider to fall right out at the start of the day.
Steve Morabito from Astana, Swiss racer on that squad, and he'll need to get through this day. Shouldn't have too hard of a day. He's just staying on the wheels. But his work will be cut out for him in the days to come, and in the final week especially, when we get nothing but mountainous stages. One of the most diabolical profiles of all of the Grand Tours in many years. This year's Giro d'Italia is going to be an absolutely spectacular race towards the end when the riders get closer to Milano.
Oh, the final week of the Tour has got to be one of the hardest. I think the profile makes this the hardest of the Grand Tours this year as far as the terrain goes. It's up to the riders how hard the actual race will be. There's Gilberto Simoni, one of the great men of the Giro d'Italia, right to the right of our picture there. As I say, 7 podium places for him so far.
Simoni on the wheel, Alberto Contador staying near the front, and Astana, just a last-minute invitation. There's Riccardo Rico. He is expected to do something big here today and throughout the rest of the Giro, one of the young stars of the Italian peloton. But Astana, last-moment invite. It's kind of hard when you're expecting a 3-week vacation to do a Grand Tour instead. But they've brought their big stars, and all of their big stars, Levi winning the Tour of California, Astana is also Contador's won the Pays Basque race, and of course Andreas Kloden won the Tour of Romandy just last week. So they have good form. It's just a question of whether or not they can ramp up the morale, and then I think in 3 weeks' time you'll see those guys right in the front of the bike race and doing some really special rides in the mountains.
I think they're very lucky that the hard part of this race is very definitely the last 10 days, because let's face it, Bob, when Alberto got the call to arms from the Astana team management, he had to pack his bathers and get off the beach because he was on holiday officially.
He was on holiday on the beach. He had his bathing trunk and his suntan oil, and he was ready to do some water sports. But hey, guess what? This is the Giro d'Italia, so that's a big change, a real shock to the system. And it might be, like you said, a few days for them to find the rhythm of the race, but that will be interesting to follow throughout the Giro d'Italia. But it's great news for us. They are the best stage race team in the business with the biggest stars. Of course, Contador, defending champion of the Tour. And so we'll see how that goes.
Well, we're under the 30 kilometers to go. Remember that Team Astana weren't on the original list, the organisers saying that they didn't, they'd already indicated they wouldn't send a top team to the Giro d'Italia, so they didn't get invited. That's not what the Astana boys are saying. They said they were never asked. But either way, they have sent their very best riders here now, because of course they'll not be required for the Tour de France, which is still sticking by its guns after the way the Tour's been treated by Astana in the previous 2 years, albeit a different management system and a different set of bike riders. But they're punishing them for what's gone before, and they won't invite them this year to the Tour de France. And I think for somebody like Alberto Contador, it is a blessing in disguise. He's a young man that probably won the Tour de France Bob ahead of his time. But it's a real sad thing for Levi Leipheimer.
Well, if we remind ourselves, it was Michael Rasmussen who had a lock on the yellow jersey and was kicked out of the race for not informing his federation of his whereabouts for the anti-doping protocols. That's against the rules. So it was Contador sort of inheriting that jersey, as we see Magnus Backstedt still making the tempo. And like you said, maybe he wasn't quite ready for all the pressure and all the media, and he just had to go through the rest of the Tour with the yellow jersey on his shoulders. Did a great defense in the final time trial, but that's a lot of pressure for a man just 24 years of age to handle, and maybe a blessing in disguise to be out of the Tour this year for Contador. Not for Levi, however. He's a top pro. He's towards the end of his career. He's been a pro for a long time, mid-30s now. And Levi, he needs to do the Tour this year to have a best chance of winning. He was third last year and looking at his best chance to win the Tour. And I wonder if he had known that Astana would not be invited to the Tour, if he would have signed that contract in the offseason.
We will never know. Contador said the Tour said he could ride if he changed teams, and he wasn't having any of that. Contador was very happy where he was. Well, we're looking down on the very ancient island here of Sicily, and we're inside 30 kilometers to go to the finish. Everybody is in the bunch except poor old David Zabriskie, who's probably by now lying in a hospital bed. We wish him well and we take a break.
La mia bici ed il mio corpo sono una sola cosa. La sua rigidità e la mia forza creano potenza. La sua precisione ed il mio coraggio creano agilità. Insieme siamo velocità. E la velocità è tutto. Io sono il campione del mondo, Paolo Bettini. I am specialized.
We got the new Forester because Subaru made it bigger and better. Don't get me wrong, we really liked our old one too. But when we got a look at the new Forester, we just had to make room for it. So, we did.
Fall in love with the Forester, all over again. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Keep your car fired up with Bosch Platinum Plus 2 spark plugs. Sale ends May 31st. So whatever you're working on, Advance will help you keep the wheels turning.
The time is now for the game's best to make a run up the FedEx Cup standings. With 25,000 points up for grabs and the world's #1 on the sidelines. Every swing, every putt, every hole counts. Classic tour action, classic golf coverage. The race for the FedEx Cup continues at the AT&T Classic. Thursday and Friday at 3 and 8:30 p.m. Eastern, only on the Golf Channel.
These bulls are some of the greatest athletes in the world.
The things they can do and the size they are, it is totally amazing.
I've never seen another animal that could weigh over 2,000 pounds, that could jump 6 foot in the air and still be spinning 100 miles an hour.
They're not just big dumb animals.
Welcome back, and there we are, just 25 kilometers to go now, and all of the riders still under the escort of the American Slipstream Chipotle team. Magnus Bagstead, amazingly, Bob, has dropped back into third. He must be cracking.
No, he's done about 150 Ks of tempo so far. You can't blame him for sitting on the wheels for it a little bit. Big Maggie Bagstead has done a great job for that man, Christian Vande Velde. And this is what teamwork is all about in the Grand Tours, is doing the tempo when you have the jersey, also making sure that your sprinter is out of trouble and you do the tempo at the finale. And pretty soon, Slipstream will be able to peel off the front as the teams like Liquigas, LPR, Quickstep come to the front and do the lead out for the finale. And you can see the men in green starting to move up. Daniele Benatti is their sprinter. He has a great chance to win today's stage if the last climb to the finish line is not that hard.
Well, the Tour of Italy throughout history has been a race for the Italians, so mark one of them down to try and win today's stage here, especially in Sicily. There are 54 Italian riders. Just on 29% of the field are Italian origin here. But right now it's an American team with an American cyclist who's got the head of the race. And good luck to Christian Vande Velde today, a former winner of the Tour of Luxembourg. He's also been a king of the mountains, Bob, in the old Benelux Tour as well.
And there's Danny Pate on the front of the chase right now. Magnus Bagstead on his wheel. And Slipstream bringing their best squad. They're also doing the Tour de France later in the summer. They've been invited to that, so it'll be interesting to see just how hard they want to go here in the Giro d'Italia. So far, they've had great results. You can't get better than a team time trial and a pink jersey to start the Giro. So, wow, you got to really give congratulations to Team Slipstream.
Yes, tremendous. And of course they're also going for the Tour de France as well. They've done what they wanted to do last year. Jonathan Vaught's has visited all of the riders around the circuits, outlined his plans and persuaded them to leave their teams and come to his side. And the result is today they lead the Giro d'Italia. And David Miller, who is one of the riders who left the Spanish setup, Sony Duval, to join the Slipstream Chipotle team, the British champion, and riding next man to Christian has been for most of the day, just to keep an eye on him. That's what the teams will do, you see. They'll keep a man alongside Christian of similar size and ability, just in case he has to change a bike at a crucial moment, and it's the teammate who'll lose time, but not the race leader. They'll give him his bike.
Danny Pate still on the front, a little bit of a gap to Magnus Backset, going quite quickly. Former under 23 world time trial champion, so he's no stranger to doing many miles on the front with just the wind as a friend, and that's his teammates lined up behind. I think that it's all together now, nobody in the breakaway, and there's Bettini moving up on the wheel of the Liquigas men in green, the green machine leading out Daniele Benatti. He must have known that this circuit would be favorable to his talents. It's a hard climb to the finish, and I think Bettini has picked the right wheel to be on for the finale.
Watch out for two other riders. If Benatti lets them down on this climb, because it's certainly not a sprinter's finish, that's for sure. Watch out for somebody like Vincenzo Nibali or even Franco Pelazzotti. Pelazzotti's made quite headlines saying he wants to win the Tour this year.
Pelazzotti, he has had a very consistent improvement over the years on GC and the Giro d'Italia. He's one of the best stage racers in the world, and the pressure is on Pelazzotti for the Liquigas squad. Danilo De Luca, of course, won the Giro for that squad last year, and he's changed teams in the offseason, so the man for GC for Liquigas has got to be Pelazzotti. We'll see what he can do throughout the 3 weeks, but today I think they're going to try to get Benatti close enough and with enough gas left in the tank to have a little bit of energy left for the sprint to the line. Watch out for the men on the Gerolsteiner squad, also leading out David Rebellin. He's had a great spring campaign, and he wants to still continue that and do something good in the Giro d'Italia.
Oh, he's been absolutely superb, Rebellin, in the Spring Classics yet again. Remember, he won all three big ones once, but he seems to be just as good as he was 4 years ago, although he's getting he's 37 years of age, I think, that way this year. So Rebellin will be looking for this sort of finish today as well. We're all looking to the excitement of the finish line, because none of us has actually seen the climb, but the contour is telling us it's rather vicious. But there is Christian van der Velde in the last 20 kilometers of today's stage of the Giro, and he's still in the pink. We'll take a break.
It's the 5-minute challenge. Trigger spray versus new Roundup Pump and Go sprayer. With up to 5 minutes of continuous spray, Pump and Go kills weeds, not your hands. New Roundup Pump and Go. Hard on weeds, easy on you.
Prevent shaving irritation with new Nivea Extreme Comfort Shaving Gel. Using microtechnology, natural ingredients penetrate skin and hair quickly. The result? A shave so comfortable you can't get enough. New Extreme Comfort Shaving Gel and Balm. Nivea for men. What men want.
If you could change the way wireless companies did things, what would you do? I'm Dan Hesse, the new CEO of Sprint. Here's our idea. Use your phone for all the great things it can do without worrying about the meter running. How's that for a wireless revolution? Pretty awesome, huh?
They say a man should always dress for the job he wants. So why am I dressed up like a pirate in this restaurant? It's all because some hacker stole my identity. Now I'm in here every evening serving chowder and iced tea. Should have gone to freecreditreport.com. I could have seen this coming at me like an atom bomb. They monitor your credit and send you email alerts, so you don't end up selling fish to tourists in t-shirts.
Offer applies with enrollment and Triple Advantage.
It's life or death to me. I'm better, stronger, faster.
I've been there, done that, and I'm on my way back to win a belt.
Don't blink.
What's that? Check it out, Dave. What do you got there, Dave?
Looks like someone's thunder thighs.
They must have lost them playing in the snow with their kids. Let's get back to work.
Come on, boy. Come on. What do you got there, Yogi? Huh? What have you found? What do you got, little fella? Drop it. Looks like someone's butt. Man, they probably lost it playing with their kids. Hey, leave it. Come on. Come on.
Going somewhere?
What are you in for? Wi-Fi?
Break free from Wi-Fi with broadband access from Verizon Wireless. Click to connect and work in more spots than just hotspots on America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Now get a free broadband access modem. Monthly plan starting at $39.99. It's reliability to go. Verizon Wireless.
Right, if you want to see the Tour de France in person this year and have money in your pocket as well, then check out Le Tour for Two sweepstakes. It's brought to you by Versus and Hampton Hotels. All you have to do is book a room on Hampton.com before May 30, enter the promotional code TOUR, join the booking, and you'll be entered and could win one of 2 great prize trips to Paris and the Champs-Élysées. You could also have $4,000 in your pocket. And now back here in Sicily, looking down again, it's Magnus Bagstedt from Slipstream, who's gone to the front of the group once more. They've still got control of this race, Bob. We're looking for the 20 kilometre to go sign right now, but Slipstream's still at the head.
It's interesting that none of the sprinter squads have really come to the fore, so Slipstream really making a very hard tempo. They haven't been in this situation before. It's a very new team, first Giro d'Italia, and first day out on the road. They get the pink jersey, so they could be excused for being a little bit overly anxious for a big tempo. But they do need to peel off now and let some of the sprinters teams come to the front. They have to keep Christian out of trouble at the front, but I'm not sure if making the tempo is the best idea, best way to do that. And let's see how they play out the last 20 Ks. Here's the LPR squad. There's Bettini. There is the Liquigas. They're all moving to the forward, so pretty soon they're going to take over the pacemaking. This is going to be a thrilling finale, a very exciting race, and I have a feeling there's some fresh legs out there too. There hasn't been a lot of aggressive riding so far, so it's going to be an explosive finale to the line.
Yeah, I've just noticed Antonio Colon moving up there for Astana, and he sought out Maxim Iglinski, who is a sprinter and is good on these sorts of finishes, who rode well in the Tour of Romandy. He's also moved up with him, so they've got their plan. Visconti, the champion of Italy. It's always nice to win a stage of the Giro in the national colours.
Giovanni Visconti will be looking for some stage wins, and he would love to get one here in Sicily. This is his birthplace. Palermo is just across the island, and I'm sure he knows these roads like the back of his hand. Watch for Visconti. He's said he'd like to do something special, and maybe leading out Bettini would be the best he could do for today. If they could get a stage win, I'm sure he'd be very happy with that.
Well, there we are. We never saw the 20 kilometres, but we're now at 19 kilometres from the finish here, and there's a lot more urgency in that race now. Slipstream having a little bit of a problem controlling it. They would expect this. I think they'll be happy they've got this far, keeping the race under control. Sadly, without one man, David Zabriskie, the time trial champion of the US, would have been invaluable in the stages, especially the time trial days that lie ahead this year. There's almost 80 kilometres of time trialing. That's more than I can ever remember in any Grand Tour for years. There's Julian Dean on the same team as Slipstream in the champion's jersey of New Zealand, and rather dirty it is too. I hope he brought the second one with him. As also CSC, led there by Stuart O'Grady, tried to push up now. A lot of different guys putting in appearance. Up on the right are coming Team High Road.
Contador there, Alberto Contador, right in the front there. That's where he wants to stay throughout this race. He's already been involved in a crash so far today, so doesn't want to take any more chances throughout today's stage. And we're just under 20 Ks to the finish. Everybody moving to the front. These roads in Sicily, very narrow, very chaotic, incredibly dangerous. Let's hope that the rain can hold off. We've seen a few drops, 19.8 Ks. I guess they went backwards 7 Ks.
We're going the wrong way. What's going on?
But let's hope that they're making forward progress. But let's also hope that the rain stays off. We've seen a few drops, and if it starts to rain, it will be unbelievably slippery.
Cofford is working hard as well here, because they feel they might have the man for the day in Nick Noyens, who's also said he wants to ride well in the Giro this year. So they'll pull him up as well. Rabobank, their big sprinter, is Graham Brown. But of course the long-term hope for the victory is with Denny Menchov, the Russian rider, who will wait a few days before we see too much about him, I think. As it looks like Matty Heyman takes through the Rabobank line, and we should find Graham Brown at the back of that line. Eric Zabel peeping in the blue jersey. Amazingly, Bob, he's never won a stage of the Giro d'Italia. He's slaughtered them in all of the other Grand Tours.
Well, that's the truth. How many green jerseys in the Tour de France? I think five or six green jerseys. This is the damage done to Steve Morabito earlier in the stage. You saw Contador up near the front. He wants to avoid that happening again. Morabito, maybe a little bit of trouble here, just hanging on to the back of the field. That's a very dangerous place to race, but when you've had a crash, sometimes you get butterflies and you get nervous. You don't want to mix it in. You don't want to rotate to the front, and that's a dangerous place to race. Denny Menchoff right there at the front with a couple of teammates. He knows he needs to stay out of trouble to have a chance in the rest of the Giro as we get closer to the mountains where he can really shine.
Well, we're not far away from Agrigento now. Agrigento, as the riders now swoop towards the finishing line, but Steve Morabito, who crashed very early on today in a group of riders, he has been dropped a couple of times today, but he's fought his way back in and he's getting down towards the finish, just about hanging on to the tail of the bunch here. There's David Miller, just letting Julian Dean know where he is. This is the face of last year's overall winner here in Danilo De Luca, and if we're talking of the day's winners, well, this is a finish which could well suit Danilo De Luca. Maybe he'll make an early go for the pink jersey. Well, we'll know pretty soon. There's Levi Leipheimer just ahead and keeping an eye on Christian van der Velde, his former teammate, right now. And I'm sure he too is pleased that Christian's still in pink. We'll take a break.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
Tired? Need energy? Stacker 2 6-hour Power Extreme Energy Shot. Feel it fast. Energy that lasts. Extreme energy. Energy that lasts. 6 hours of power. Stacker 2 6-hour Power Extreme Energy Shots. Available at your local convenience store.
If you're fed up with the pump, then meet Chevy's MVPs of MPG. Aveo, HHR, Malibu, Cobalt XFE, to name a few. Chevy, 7 models that offer an EPA estimated 30 miles per gallon highway or better. Now that's an American revolution.
Switch to Valvoline's Max Life, and there's no telling how long your car will keep going. Max Life not only protects against friction, but also leaks, deposits, and sludge, the 4 major causes of high-mileage engine breakdown. Drive it forever.
Hello, hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how have you been? It's good to see you, my friend. So until we meet again.
Nothing brings people together like boating. Get started with your free DVD at discoverboating.com or 1-800-808-BOAT.
I have written my story upon these pages. I've been a cup, I've been a plate. I have worn smooth the handles of hammers and shovels. I've wrestled with barbed wire. I have never turned the pages of a Swedish furniture catalog. I'm always dirty, but my conscience is always clean.
You're out here for a reason. So are we. Tractor Supply Company. The stuff you need out here.
Welcome back as the field continues to course its way now towards the final city of the day, which is Agrigento. And you know, when you're trying to work out who might win, let's not forget there is small-time bonuses on the line today, which could produce almost anyone who wins the stage into the pink jersey, and Christian van der Velde will certainly know that. I just noted there, in fact, Bob, that Mark Cavendish of Team High Road, without doubt the fastest sprinter in the business right now, is right on the back of the peloton.
Mark Cavendish starting to suffer in the climbs a little bit. It's been a heavy-duty stage. Julian Dean there, you can see his jersey marked up from a crash that put Dave Zabriskie, his teammate, teammate out of the Giro d'Italia. But Julian Dean, just some cuts and bruises. That won't slow down this very tough Kiwi. He knows what it's like to do teamwork. He was on the team of Thor Hushovd for many years, and now he is trying to defend the jersey of Christian Vande Velde. Christian needs to be very careful in the finale. There's going to be gaps. There's going to be gaps in the field, and if they take the time, if there's a couple of bike lengths in between riders and they take the time, Christian has to stay very close to the front. He will know that, and he'll want to do the maximum effort that he's capable of to stay right in the front, not necessarily contest the sprint, but if he gets behind any of the gapped riders, he could very well lose that pink jersey. If he rides heads up and he has some good legs, he could defend that and have another day in the pink, and that would be an incredible day for the Slipstream squad. A lot of the riders have vanished off the front. Just David Miller now and Christian Vande Velde left at the front. That's a little bit dangerous. They still need some reinforcements for Slipstream to come to the front. We still got quite a few kilometers to go when you're trying to defend that peak jersey.
Well, this is David Miller trying to keep the pace as high as his legs will take him now to hold off any attacks that would try to come. As it looks as though we've just got a little bit of a problem here, because this is Astana's Robert Foster, Gerolstein's Robert Foster, who is dropping off the back. Now that's what we're telling you about, you see. This is going to take us up around the back of the finishing line, and this is the climb. Now these guys are really hurting here, Bob, and that peloton, all down to the work of David Miller, has completely split at the back.
Well, this is going to be a really tough finale. They're going to have to go up this climb again before they get to the finish line. So you can see the damage done with 1 lap to go still, just over 10 Ks before the finish. What an exciting finale we're going to have. But Christian in a little bit of danger now. Just David Miller, the last Slipstream man left in the front. It looks like Miller has great legs, however, and he's doing the tempo that's done all of this damage to the field.
Oh, we're looking at one of the temples down here, the Valley of the Temples, as we now go back to the race and try and locate it, because this is rather a crucial moment right now, and it's still Miller. And hats off to Christian Vande Velde. This man is reading the race perfectly. The most dangerous part of the day, and they still got control here. And I have to say that Christian is looking absolutely superb. That pink jersey, I think, may have sprouted wings for him.
There's David Miller on the front doing a great job here, keeping the tempo high. There hasn't been any attacks yet. Christian Vande Velde, if Miller can get over the top of this climb and do a little bit of the descent, and Christian can stay out of trouble, I think LPR and the other GC teams might come to the front. This is a pretty big group, but still a lot of riders have been dropped, and we'll see what kind of damage this climb does on the last lap up to the finish line.
Well, I think we've just gone under the 15 kilometers to go, Banner, there, but we're waiting for confirmation of that as Miller keeps control of the front. And the rider's beginning to line up just behind him there. Golcher is the rider on the left of our picture, just on the right shoulder there of Christian Vande Velde. He rides for De Luca's team. De Luca is right on his wheel there. He's thinking of something here. Also, Basisio is also there for LPR. They've pushed all of their team up to the front now, but not to the front. That's worth remembering. As still Miller keeping the tempo. He's really become the ideal teammate today.
Brilliant riding, absolutely brilliant riding by David Miller. Astana up to the front, and you can see the struggle of the riders. This is the back of the front group, and a lot of men have been dropped. We'll have to see the progress the sprinters have made. Only a guy like Bettini, though, capable of doing a big climb like that and still having some energy left in the legs. Benatti, we don't see him in the front anymore. Maybe they'll catch back up on the descent. Mark Cavendish in a little bit of trouble as well. So presumably he's been dropped, because there's a big gap now, and those riders are going to have to struggle to get back. Here are the streets near the finish line. David Miller still on the front. What a great ride by the British champion for Team Slipstream.
Well, we are now seeing what it will be the final meters to the finish here. We're just over a kilometre to go to the line. In fact, we're about a mile from the finish at this point, and this is a really tough end to the stage today. So forget Mark Cavendish, Bob, because they're not going to get back. I can't believe now. The tempo is just a little bit too hard. There's a lot of riders down there from Cofidis and from Barlow World. Colours pretty similar. But absolutely hats off to Christian Vande Velde, fighting and holding the position at the front. And he's got to stay there, because, you know, the combination could go all wrong for him with the bonuses at the line. He's got to mark his men.
Most definitely has to do a big effort on the last climb. We're going to just get under the red kite for 1 key to go on the finishing circuit. They're going to do this climb again, and the damage this lap with a reasonable tempo being set by David Miller. You can imagine extrapolating that to the last lap, a few more Ks, and how LPR comes to the front now, and they're a little bit impatient, but gosh, Christian, just one teammate left. They have to come back to the front and keep the defense going for a little bit longer.
Yes, and Andreas Kloden has moved right up to the front now, and Christian's got his back wheel, so it's getting a little bit crowded at the front. Contador dancing on those pedals, looking like a man straight off the beach and straight to the front of the peloton. There's the 1 kilometre to go next time around, and they're still losing ground, these riders. All of a sudden, it's not going to be a very big arrival in the bunch. This is Rico, the Cobra, who says he's going to strike today. This is the stage he wants.
He says he looks in the eyes of his competitors and tells them when he's going to attack, and does so. And he just looked over at Paolo Bettini, and that's got to scare you a little bit if you're Bettini.
Well, Bettini's done it all before. That man is the one who'll be feared today on a finish like this. There's still some very calm and collected faces at the front. Christian van der Velde grimacing just a little bit there. He's trying to hold his position. He's being bounced from all sides now. His team's no longer with him. They've been forced to the back because there's huge tempo riding being done. As our camera goes to the back of the group now, it's not, it's switched back to the front. I was going to say we would see a lot of riders dropping away, but they're setting this up for De Luca on the left of our picture.
Most definitely. LPR to the front. You see Savodelli there just queued up, and Danilo De Luca. This is a great finish for De Luca, and Christian van der Velde needs to do a really spectacular ride to keep that pink jersey.
He knows it, and I think he might be up for it today, because when you pull on a leader's jersey, it inspires you. There's no doubt about that. This is a another monumental step in the history of American cycling today, to see another rider in the pink jersey. We've talked since 1988 of the brilliant Andy Hampsten, and now we're seeing Christian van der Velde in the pink. But other riders trying to break in, not least, I suggest that Soler is coming into the action here for Barlow World. There's the long, thin line. It was an awful long way up to the finish line today because of that long approach. But this will be the finish next time around. As they get the bell now, that'll send the adrenaline running. But it's a big lap, this. It's about 13.5 kilometres. Our cameraman's gone crazy, must be from Australia, as the race comes through now. They are all in a straight line, but already some of the sprinters know they have lost their chance today. But Christian van der Velde has survived that climb, and he survived it well, right at the front on the tail of De Luca's team. We'll take a break.
Pain is my enemy. This bike, my ally. Together, our endurance is unmatched. Our performance, unstoppable. Any distance, any road. I am Tom Bonen. I am specialized.
Days Inn has a sunny new look outside. It's the sign of more value than ever inside.
They're really helpful and friendly, and they make me feel welcome.
Keep on the sunny side of
Tame the road. Hand-cooked tires.
Nobody ever plans to get lost in the Adirondacks or to run out of water in Death Valley. Nobody plans to snap his mainsail or break an ankle at 14,000 feet. But it happens. You need help and you're way out of cell phone range. Got a plan? Here's one. It's Spot. The world's first satellite messenger. Your personal connection to the outside world.
It's $169 that just might save your life.
Spot lets you ask for help from friends or just check in. It's GPS that you can send. In real trouble, there's the 911 button to alert the International Emergency Response Center of your exact location. Even let your friends track your progress using Google Maps. Look, nobody plans to break down in the middle of nowhere. I'm Les Stroud. Come share my adventure. Enter to win a trip to be on location with me at findmespot.com.
Spot, the world's first satellite messenger.
Hey, it's your life. Live to tell about it.
It's time to get ready for the final days of Denver Mattresses Supplier Overstock Special. Hurry in. These Supplier Overstock Special mattresses have been made in limited quantities. Rush on over. Clearance sale with no payments and no interest for 1-year offer ends Tuesday, May 13th.
You okay? Yeah. Just one more weekend. Just one more weekend.
The 1
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 little piggies ready to play. The big pig is Pedro. Pedro Piggy. He's the big piggy.
Everyday moments can become teaching moments because learning starts long before school does. Give your child the start they need at bornlearning.org.
Tonight, the Eastern Conference Finals resume with game number 2 from Pittsburgh. Flyers Penn tonight, 7:30 Eastern, here on Versus, the national cable home of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, here we are, and it's still the same riders on the front. Danilo De Luca, the defending champion of the Giro d'Italia 2007, has told his boys to set the pace now because this, he thinks, is a finish for him.
De Luca embroiled in a long anti-doping controversy throughout the spring. It was questionable whether or not he'd get to start the Giro d'Italia. Embroiled in that oil for drugs scandal that's been haunting Italian cycling for the last few months. Look at Christian fighting for that wheel, and a little bit squirrely. You can just see the wheels of Van de Velde going in between two riders, trying to follow the LPR train. Christian is a little bit lucky in that they've come to the front to take over, so they'll do a very tough tempo to the line, and if he can follow the wheels, he'll be in good shape to defend that jersey. But De Luca will be definitely attacking when he gets a chance on the last few meters, and this is going to be a long, hard, crazy sprint to the finish. We could see some big gaps. There's a replay of De Luca coming through the start-finish line.
Yes.
13 Ks to go before we see the sprint for the win.
He looked pretty cool. I noticed the Barlow world rider Enrico Gasparotto, the top Italian, who they think might be the man for pink today. They're trying to steer him right up to the front there. He's been the leader for a day in Tirreno Adriatico today. Look at this, 39 miles an hour we're doing at the moment. And he's also been the leader for a couple of days in the 3 days of Depana, which of course isn't 3 days at all, but 5, and he finished third overall in that race. And so looking down now at the pink jersey, best of the rest at the moment. He's got control of himself again. He's got no teammates really now, but he's linked himself up with De Luca's team, and that's good.
Salvadelli there, about 5th in line. Broad shoulders, great descender, and that's the perfect wheel to sit on for Danilo De Luca before the finish of the bike race. And you can see that Salvadelli right there towards the end of the train of the LPR riders. Here's the race director telling people to move over. A little bit of danger out on the course. And it's Salvadelli, who's won the Giro himself 2 times, but he'll be dedicated to the chances of De Luca throughout these 3 weeks.
It sounds a bit strange saying this, Bob, but if De Luca were to win today, we'd actually do Christian Van der Velde a favour because there's no way the bonuses can bring him up. They lost too much time yesterday in the team time trial. This is the laughing group, shall we say, as they come in. Nick Gates on the right there, former champion of Australia, and Robbie McEwen alongside him, so no sprint win for Robbie today. That's the autobus, as they call it. They just got to ride to the finish today and make sure, of course, they're within the time limit. That in itself won't be a problem. So, yeah, that's a point, though, isn't it? De Luca, even if he wins, can't get the pink jersey off Christian unless Christian loses big time on the last climb.
If Christian is gapped there might be a chance for De Luca to get that jersey. There's Giovanni Visconti, the champion of Italy, in the quick-step jersey there. He'll be doing some work for Bettini. If Bettini has the legs, Bettini, a long, illustrious career. He'd love to add a stage win here, and there he is in the World Champions jersey, just tucked in. And there's Matteo Tosato. So quick step coming to the front to lead out Bettini, and he could get in that jersey. But it's going to be a tough order for anybody as long as Christian can follow the wheels and stay in the front because of the time they gained on the team time trial yesterday.
Well, they're happy to let LPR brakes do the work on the left here, although they're bringing up the cavalry on the right now. A little change of order at the front. A lot of riders doing an awful lot of marking here now. There are at least a dozen riders, I would say, who really believe they can win this stage today. And they are the riders, really, who we will be talking about in the weeks ahead as likely winners of the competition, because this is a win for the strongmen.
Well, this is a very interesting happenstance for the Giro d'Italia this year. Usually the GC battle doesn't come into focus for about a week or 10 days, but because of the difficulty of today's stage, a lot of mountains out on the course, and the team time trial on the first stage, well, we see all the GC men that we'll expect to see in Milan in 3 weeks coming to the front. They know they can't lose any time. They probably can't win the Giro today, but they could most certainly lose the Giro if they could lose any more time. Already 30 seconds behind the Slipstream squad.
Absolutely. We're watching the British rider, one of 6 in the race, by the way, Charlie Wegelius. He was born in Finland, that's how he's got a strange name, as he now heads the charge for Liquigas. It's still anybody's race with about 6 miles to go.
Dogs need weekends too. Get started boating with your free DVD at discoverboating.com or 1-800-808-BOAT.
We have recycling plans that fit the biggest companies and programs that help others get started. We're there for you every night and on the job with you every day. When you put waste management to work, you get an environmental partner. And big ideas for every size business. From everyday collection to environmental protection. Think green. Think waste management.
Hey, how about using that government stimulus check to protect your four-wheel investment? Why? Because if your car's not working, neither are you. Whatever you're working on, Advance will help you keep the wheels turning.
Cyclism Sundays, it's on. From every leg-burning sprint to every exulting finish, Cyclism Sundays, presented by Hampton Hotels, continues next Sunday for Easter.
Welcome back, 9 kilometres. That's about 5.5 miles from the finish, and they've really turned the screw tight here. It's De Luca's team who are racing for the win, and Christian van der Velde, the overall leader. He's defending only seconds, remember, just a couple of seconds on Team CSC, 6 seconds to be precise, 7 seconds on members of Team High Road. But unfortunately for De Luca, his team didn't do well yesterday at all. So Van der Velde now about 15th in the bunch.
Van der Velde riding very smoothly, just right around Bettini there, so that's a good place to be. If you don't have any teammates, sometimes you have to defend that jersey, and that's a tough spot for him to be in. But if anybody can do it, Christian can do it. He's been a pro for a long time, and he knows that he will be accorded a little bit extra respect and be able to follow the wheels towards the front. But he has to stay out of trouble and do a great climb to the finish to keep that jersey.
Well, it looks like it's Team LPR here of De Luca race against the Liquigas team of Benati, or is it Nibali or Pelizzotti? I would think the other two are the most likely right now. Pelizzotti's down there, number 127, there he is. And that's the man they're working to get to the finishing line, I think, first today. But Vincenzo Nibali is also a very good finisher on this type of a circuit, and he's in dead center right now.
There is Christian on the far left-hand side of your screen there, just rotating to the front, and he's wise to follow the wheels as they come up. And there's a sort of a hierarchy in the peloton that occurs in these finales, and there is a forward rotation. You got to follow that. It's a much smaller group now. There will be some big chasing coming from behind, but there is one last climb before the finish, and Christian so far has ridden a flawless race.
He has, and of course he can go wrong at any moment in time, as we saw with poor David Zabriskie crashing out of this race with around about 60 kilometres left of the day. As we're looking here, sat there at the back is Eric Zabel. As these riders now are about to go back up the climb here, John. I don't know why I called you John Bob, but there we are. Giovanni Visconti is the Italian national champion, moving up on the top of our picture there, trying to reposition himself. But that is still a big bunch, but it's nothing like what it was last lap.
Well, that's great riding by Eric Zabel, probably the only sprinter to make this split. It's a big split in the field, and I think the only pure fast man is Eric Zabel. We see him do that day in and day out.
Brilliant.
He's such a great professional. He knows when to go to the front. He rotates to the back, then makes a huge effort to stay in the group, and that way he makes the splits. He's the last sprinter left, along with Bettini, and why not Eric Zabel for the finish if he has the legs?
I just can't believe he can have the legs at 37 years of age, but you never know. Paolo Bettini has moved right up in his rainbow jersey, just to the left of our picture there. He never wants to be too far, but he will move right into the top 6 once that climb starts. I'm sure of that. Team High Road beginning to drive now and move their players up as well. They've lost their big sprinter today in Mark Cavendish. That was to be anticipated, I think. Gone with him will be Bradley Wiggins as well. And it's time to tell you too, Adam Hansen's on the team. It's his 27th birthday today. It would be rather nice if Adam could win. He's a Queenslander on Team High Road, but I don't think so. The racing today, I reckon, for Marco Pinotti.
Marco Pinotti spent a lot of the Giro d'Italia last year in the pink jersey. That was a great revelation in last year's edition. And Pinotti's come into this race saying he'd like to do that and maybe go a few days better in the pink jersey and be an overall contender in the top 10 at the finish of the bike race.
Two very distinct prongs to this particular fork right now, and the people in the middle catching the wind. Although we're getting spots of rain, it is holding off, and let's hope it stays that way. We've now seen the approach to the finish. It's a long, nasty climb, levels out just before the line. So I think, Bob, to win here today, you've got to be strong on the climb, but you've not got to make your final move until you're in the last few hundred meters. So you still need to be a good sprinter.
Yes, absolutely. I think the crafty man might win today's stage, and that man in the white with the rainbow stripes jersey, Paolo Bettini, might be the crafty of them all with the strong legs. And patience, I think, is going to tell the tale. A lot of guys on an uphill finish will go a little bit early and then blow up and then get past just before the line. So I think we're in for a very, very exciting finale. That's Simoni. So Simoni right there in the Serramonte jersey, looking to at least defend his position and not lose any time for the GC battle that's surely to come in the rest of the Giro.
Which is an important day to save time today, because this peloton is now split. It's only about 45 riders, maybe 50 riders in this bunch right now. And bet your life the winner in 3 weeks' time in Milan is going to be in this bunch for sure. So you've not got to lose any time, even if you're not going to win the stage. This is one of those days when you watch and wait if you're a long-term candidate. The riders continue toward the finish. We'll just take one more break and then rejoin us for the Battle of Agrigento. See you in just a moment.
La mia bici ed il mio corpo sono una sola cosa. La sua rigidità e la mia forza creano potenza. La sua precisione ed il mio coraggio creano agilità. Insieme siamo velocità. E la velocità è tutto. Io sono il campione del mondo, Paolo Bettini. I am specialized.
What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Yeah, I'm gonna try with a little help from my friends. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends.
At Hampton, we love having you here.
Going somewhere?
What are you in for? Wi-Fi?
Break free from Wi-Fi with broadband access from Verizon Wireless. Click to connect and work in more spots than just hotspots on America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Now get a free broadband access modem. Monthly plan starting at $39.99. It's reliability to go. Verizon Wireless.
Cyclism Sundays, it's on. From the island of Sicily to the streets of Milan, the race to where the Maglia Rosa is on. All month, the eyes of the cycling world turn to Italy for the first leg of cycling's Triple Crown. The Giro d'Italia continues next Sunday 4 Eastern. Cyclism Sundays presented by Hampton Hotels, only on Versus, the home of the Tour de France.
I'm Danica Patrick. For me, it's all about control. Tracking wide shot, control of call costs, control of minutes, and this bad boy, extreme wide.
With the TrackPhone Motorola W370. Now with a double minute feature, a $49 value included free. TrackPhone, the cell phone that puts you in control.
Every year, Bike MS goes farther and pushes harder to raise money that will move us closer to a cure for multiple sclerosis. And that's where you come in. An unforgettable ride, an unbeatable destination. Bike to create a world free of MS. Join the movement.
Bike to create a world free of MS. Join the movement June 28th and 29th when we ride from Westminster to Fort Collins and back. An unforgettable ride, an unbeatable destination. Visit bikemscolorado.org to register to volunteer today.
Cyclism Sunday's coverage of Giro d'Italia on Versus is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here.
Welcome back. This is showdown time now. We just want to know who's going to win the stage and whether Christian van der Velde will hang on to that leader's pink jersey. He's had a great day, even though they've lost a teammate in David Zabriskie with a crash. And there, right on the back wheel now of the group of De Luca LPR, is the world champion Paolo Bettini. Very shortly now, we're going to begin. We may already have just started the climb, actually.
This is just the initial slopes of the climb, just a few clicks before the line, but a big lead out by LPR for De Luca.
Well, they've done a tremendous job since they got control of this race as they went through the finishing line on the only other time they've been through there today. And you can see where it kicks up. This is where David Miller was leading last time around and doing a great job, but David's paid that price now, and I don't think he's even in this group at all. But he put Van der Velde in a position to try and defend. Christian is certainly there just now. It's all about who's going to win the stage now, and if the combination's wrong, it will take the jersey away from Christian van der Velde. If it's not going to be him, I would hope for De Luca. That might keep him in it. But watch out for Riccardo Rico. He has moved right up, and so too has Paolo Bettini. This is very typical of Bettini, watching and waiting for the move.
Contador struggling a little bit.
Face now.
Absolutely. And there's Rebellin looking calm, cool, and collected. LPR still doing the lead out. Tinkoff riders moving to the front. And the riders really struggling now. This is a tough climb to the finish. The sprinters are most certainly all gone. And now even the front group starting to split up. We got to see Christian van der Velde near the front and following these accelerations. This is just the last couple of kilometers of the race.
Well, this is tremendous riding by LPR. Danilo De Luca, last man of the line there, looking very cool and calm here, as if they're carrying the stage winner to victory. Rebellin is up here, so too is Paolo Bettini, straining down that peloton just like you are at the television screens to see if I can see the pink jersey peeping in, because that's what we want to see right now. There's nobody saving anything. There is Rebellin, there is Paolo Bettini. The Tinkoff boys have had a very quiet day, unusual for them, have moved 2 men up into the kill as well.
And don't forget Rodriguez there for Keita Parnia. He won a stage very similar to this in the Tirreno Adriatico. There he is in the champion of Spain's jersey. Barlow World, that's Gasparotto moving forward. And still, we don't see Levi Leipheimer, but we do see Alberto Contador. 1.9 kilometers is the graphic, but that would be 2Ks to go now. Where is Christian? We have to look a long ways down the line to see the pink jersey, and he's just there in the middle of that big group. He needs to move up a little bit to defend his jersey.
I'm not sure he can now, Bob. He's worked so hard today to keep that pink jersey at least for 1 day more. And he's now going to have to just hang on in here and hope for the right combination. There is Contador. Looks a little bit more relaxed. He was hurting at the start of the climb, indicating maybe the pressure has eased just a little bit for the moment. Gasparotto, he's also a man who wants to score today for Barlow World. On the other side is the other Italian. Remember, there are 54 Italians. It looks like they're all in the front group right now. And there is Danilo De Luca. His team has been brilliant for him today. It's up to him, number one, to finish it off. Leonardo Piepoli is up there as well.
Piepoli will be trying to lead out Riccardo Rico, but Riccardo Rico is starting to slip back a little bit too far, and that is your man Vincenzo Nibali there for the Liggett squad in the green jersey, and Alberto Contador still looking strong. He's had a great season so far. He wins almost every race he attempts, and wow, what a surprise that would be if he won the stage today.
Well, can you believe, Bob, that some pundits were saying this was a stage for the sprinters? Well, I suppose indirectly it is. There's still a group here. You're still going to have to produce a sprint finish at 1,100 meters to go to the line. Here comes Piepoli on the right of our picture. Remember the big work he did with Riccardo Rico last year? Looks like it might be a repeat of affairs this year as they wind up. Nibali hasn't got it, and somebody has taken a fly, and it looks like the champion of Spain here. So this will be Rodriguez who's made the move in the last kilometer.
This is a great effort. He's got a big gap there. He did exactly the same thing in a very steep stage in Tirreno to win that stage. He's got about a K to go. Can he hang on? This is going to be a desperate chase. He can do that. He's capable of this type of effort and holding off the field. Piepoli on the front, you got to expect it's a very tough climb if Leonardo Piepoli is able to do the lead out. But watch for Riccardo Rico's acceleration. If Rodriguez starts to struggle,
enormous.
That is a big gap. But now the attacks are going to come. If there's any energy left in the legs of Rebellin, De Luca, and Bettini, they will come shortly.
Well, looking at the camera panning down there, the pink jersey of Christian van der Velde, if he's in there, because this will be a great win for Joaquin Rodriguez. There'll be a small time gap, but he's in 54th position overall, and it looks as though Bettini tried and has cracked there. Well, Joaquin Rodriguez, his only other victory this year was the victory Bob mentioned, stage number 3 in the Treno Adriatico, but still De Luca is being brought back here if he can. But I think that Joaquin Rodriguez, the champion of Spain, is rather disappointing the Italians here at Sicily, because they're cracking that field and the pink jersey is not in this forward split. So Van der Velde has found this last climb a little bit hard here. There might well be a new leader of the Tour at the end, but it won't be Joaquin Rodriguez unless he gets a bit of a gap, because here comes the reaction straight at him now. They're still trying to launch De Luca up towards the finishing line, but still the Spanish rider is holding on. 50 meters to go. There's a move on the far right. It's Ricardo who's now launched an attack here, and it's Ricardo who is going to win it. The Cobra strikes and he gets the stage win. Can you believe that?
Ricardo Rico following the acceleration of Paolo Savidelli from LPR for De Luca. Where's the pink jersey? And there it is. Christian van der Velde coming across the line
seconds.
within 12 seconds. So there's still a chance for him to defend that. Great riding by van der Velde. What a ride by Ricardo Rico to win the stage.
Well, it could be the best result, because the Sony Deval team did not ride well yesterday. The mathematicians will be out now. There is still a chance that Christian van der Velde is still the leader of the Tour. Certainly Ricardo won't be in the hat because he was over a minute behind yesterday, but we need confirmation there on the other riders over the line. Danilo De Luca was right in the mix too. But he may have lived to fight another day here with some tremendous riding. But there's the winner of the day, and that is Rico. He said today was a great day to win a stage, and he's lived up to it. He's won it.
He was so patient in the attack by Rodriguez. He didn't chase immediately. He had the legs. Here's the attack. Here's the replay of the finish. Rebellin trying to follow De Luca. They are looking at the ground instead of the finish line, and Ricardo Rico streaking to the line there. He was patient. He followed the chase by the LPR squad of Joaquin Rodriguez, who just about had it, but not quite. And the man with the most patience and the best legs at the end, Ricardo Rico, getting a great stage win. He said he was going to do it. Yeah. He looked in the eyes of his rivals, and there it is. Great ride.
And it looks to me as though Christian van der Velde, on the face of this result, will retain the pink leader's jersey, which is tremendous news for him. It'll all be confirmed by the judges, of course, in a moment's time. Well, Ricardo Rico waited till stage 15 and won that horrible mountain stage, the Tre Cime, last year in the Giro, when he went on to finish 6th in this race. Now he has won again very early on at the end of day 2. Well, this is how it looks for the stage. Ricardo Rico getting the win ahead of Danilo De Luca, David Rebellin and Franco Pelazzotti, and Paolo Savidelli taking the 5th place. Further down the list, Rodriguez almost made it but came home 6th. Väikkönen of Finland in 7th place, and the top 10 completed by none other than Andreas Kloden. 19th place, by the way, for Christian van der Velde at 10 seconds. Well, there it is, Ricardo Rico. They call him the Cobra, and he's now done exactly what he said he was going to do. He woke up this morning saying, this is a stage I can win, and he won it in grand style there. He looked strong towards the finish on that last climb. And now Ricardo Rico has struck early in this race, that's for sure. Judges are still working on the overall position. It is possible that Pelazzotti, who finished 4th in the race, he might be the new leader, but it'll go to the count back. We don't know officially how far back Christian van der Velde was, Bob, but there's no doubt who won the stage, and he's done it in style.
He most certainly left no doubt as who was the fastest sprinter at the top of this mountain finish in Agrigento. Ricardo Rico, you saw him looking into the eyes of his competitors just before the finale got started, and he left no doubt that he was the best man on today's race. What a great sprint to the finish. He was very patient also. No panic when Rodriguez attacked. He followed the wheels of the LPR lead out for Danilo De Luca, and that was a great stage win. Really a top professional maneuver there to win that stage.
Well, let's have a look at the overall, and it's sad news indeed for Christian van der Velde. He lost just 1 second too much on the run-in. He got detached in the last few hundred meters, So Franco Pelazzotti is the new pink jersey in the Tour. Chris Sorensen, who is also the white jersey wearer's best young rider, is still third. De Luca fourth and Maurice Personi in fifth. Further down, it's Nibali, who is in sixth place. Nicky Sorensen seventh, Brad McGee in eighth, and the top 10 completed by two-time previous winner Paolo Savidelli. Some notables for you: Alberto Contador, 30 seconds back in 19th. The second best American is Levi Leipheimer in 25th at 40 seconds. And the other three Americans in the race, Jason McCartney, Danny Pate and Pat McCarty. He's 179. There it is. Franco Pelazzotti is the new leader of the Tour. It can only be by 1 second. So his overnight 11 seconds, which was the time gap I think we put on the finishing of, he put 12 seconds overnight, and he's pulled on that jersey, I reckon, by just a second today. But Franco Pelazzotti is the leader of the Giro d'Italia at the end of day 2, and that is exceptionally sad for Christian van der Velde, who has conceded by 1 second.
1 second gap to Pelazzotti. It can't be much more than that, but he gets the pink jersey, and for any Italian bike racer, that is a real dream come true. He stayed near the front. He did a decent sprint following the wheels of Savidelli and De Luca, and he gets the next pink jersey in the 2008 Giro d'Italia.
And on this second day of the Giro d'Italia, another competition opened up. It was, of course, the King of the Mountains, with 2 climbs on the menu today. And so it's time now for the green jersey update, brought to you by Scott's. And there on the podium now, he's a familiar name here in the Giro d'Italia. It is Emanuel Sella. He won the first climb today, placed on the second, and by count back, he wears the green jersey tomorrow. He's been a top 12 finisher in this event for the past 3 years, and he's certainly a strong man in the mountains. The Giro continues next Sunday at 4 Eastern. Cyclism Sundays brought to you by Hampton Hotels. And don't forget, if you want to watch the Giro d'Italia live every day on the internet, sign up on our website. The address, as always, versus.com. And that will also give you a complete update of schedules for all of our cycling plan coverage. Congratulations then to the new wearer of the pink jersey, and that is Pelazzotti. And for Bob Roll and me, Phil Liggett, until next Sunday, it's goodbye for now.